All right. What is some advice you could give anybody out there that is starting out either in business or any type of venture when they're facing negativity?
And yeah, I mean that's it. Pretty much anybody that goes to accomplish anything that is different than average, or that's above average, you're going to deal with that. You're going to face that. I think that's something that anybody that's ever gone after anything over and above what is taught by school, college, the basics. I believe you're going to deal with that regardless. And what do you do with it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just expect it. It's going to happen. Most of it's going to happen from family and friends, people that are close to you. The biggest reason is fear. Most people are, number one, they're either doubting whether you can do it or they're afraid you're going to do it. Usually it's afraid because typically what you see is people will start at the same place. People from high school, you went to the same school, but they can't stand the fact to see that you started at the same place, but you didn't end at the same place. And that bothers people. So they'll criticize, they'll ridicule, they'll talk down on the things that you're trying to do. Again, perfectly normal. You've got to understand that when it comes to critics, they operate at the bottom. They focus on the very bottom. They can't elevate themselves. They don't go anywhere but the bottom. So as you continue to grow and increase, whether you're increasing in position or just whether you're elevating yourself in any way, shape, or form, whether you're just feeding your mind, whatever, as you increase and go here, you're going to find that once they were throwing stones at you at the bottom, they no longer can throw that high. So regardless, what's going to happen though is you're still going to deal with critics and negativity. It doesn't matter. Here's what I realized is when I found out what I was supposed to be doing, when I got involved in network marketing, I realized that I served a purpose. I was there for a purpose. And when you see people's lives being changed, and when you see people that reach out to you from all across the world, from other countries and saying, man, I appreciate you pouring into me. I appreciate what you put out there. Of course it's controversial. Of course it's going to cause people, but at the end of the day, if your mission is big enough, negativity, literally, you spend almost no time with it. It's a joke. I mean, it's going to happen. In fact, you should encourage haters. The more followers you get, the more haters you're going to get too, in proportion with each other. Perfectly normal. If people aren't hating on what you're doing, typically what you're doing is actually in agreement with what they're doing. And usually that's nothing. That's nothing productive. It's typically just a big average pool of people. And again, that's why they don't get criticized. It's because they're not actually doing anything significant. So 100%, I would just focus on just running it over. Running it over. Don't entertain it. In fact, use it to motivate you. And lastly, I heard a situation just the other day where an attorney went and I did a presentation for somebody. An attorney approached someone else and asked them, hey, did you look into that? Did you see what it is they're doing? It seems like they're trying to take advantage of unfortunate people. And obviously this person did no research, did nothing. They're just taking their waste of money education and really showing how limited their thinking is. But I asked that person that approached me, I said, let me ask you a question. Did you notice that they approached you and not me? And she said, yeah. And I said, you know why? Because they knew that they couldn't come at me. They knew. See, I make sure when I walk into a room, people know that I'm bold and I stand up for what I believe in, that I can't be taken down with just a simple, throw of a stone. I've been thrown, I've had bigger stones thrown at me than what they're holding in their hand right now. And so this attorney knew that she couldn't approach me and try to tear me down or take me down. And I would just suggest to you, and I was talking to her, I said, I would suggest you take your belief level and stick it up a notch. You should have been able to stand up for what it is that you're doing, but she knew that you were the weaker vessel. Just like there's certain animals that only attack wounded animals, she went to you because she knew that your mindset wasn't stable. It wasn't strong. You hadn't put your flag in the ground and said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to succeed and I'm going to win, because I'm going to tell you, the more belief you have in what it is that you're doing, less and less and less people try to attack what you're doing because they know they can't stop you from doing it.
Let's talk about sacrifice real quick. So anytime you have a worthwhile goal you want to achieve, you're probably going to need to give something up. So how would you help people think through that process?
Oh man, that's a given. You want time, you're going to have to sacrifice time. You want time with your kids, you're going to have to sacrifice time with your kids. You want more money, it's probably going to cost you some money. And that's, again, why very, very few people in this country actually reach the goals that they go after, because they don't understand that it's going to cost you something. I mean, how many times in business have we seen, it costs money to start the business? Well, yeah, it's going to cost you a bit of money, but it's better than costing you, 40 hours of your life every single week for the rest of your life. People don't understand that in perspective. So, yeah, man, there's going to be sacrifices each and every day. But it's worth it. And if you look at the prize, if you look at what the ultimate reward is, and you keep your focus on that, don't get sidetracked with numbers and production and trophies and all those things, because that wears off. You eventually can't hand your family that you sacrifice all your trophies, because that's not going to do it. That wasn't your goal to start. So stay focused on your goal the entire time. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen when you're focused on the goal and you believe that the goal is reachable, that you're going to hit it. Here's what ends up taking place: you fall in love with the process. Because the process isn't so painful anymore. The process, you understand that it's actually going to take you to where you said you were going to go. And so you'll start falling in love with the pain. You'll start falling in love with the sacrifices. Your kids will understand. The worst thing in the world that I've ever seen is someone look at their kids and say, hey, I'm going to miss your birthday. I'm sorry, I have to go to a convention. I have to spend money and go learn how to do this business. The worst thing you can do is miss your kid's birthday and quit 2 years later, quit 3 years later. And then they look up and they grow up and they remember. They will not forget that you missed their birthday. But the other thing they won't forget is that you quit later on. So it was all for nothing. It would have been better off to not miss the birthday. And there's two things that really attach themselves to your last name. One is winning, and the other is quitting. And they will last forever. So people have to truly understand that if you're going to make sacrifices to go all the way, because it makes all of them worth it. So just imagine your kids growing up and realizing, yeah, remember he missed my birthday, or she missed my birthday, that time. But look where they're at now. And I had to do that with my kids, man. When our kids were younger, man, they were latching onto our legs. Please don't go. They were crying. They didn't want us to leave. And let me tell you something, our kids got a chance to stand on stage with 20,000 people. We gave a speech to 20,000 people, and they had the opportunity to experience that. It was at that moment they realized that is why they had to miss. This is why they missed a few ball games. This is why that all happened. And in addition, most kids are going to school and they don't really have anything to talk about. Oh, my dad does this for a living. Our kids went to school and showed their teachers a copy of Success Magazine with their picture in it the moment they were standing on stage with us. So it was at that time that they realized the sacrifice of giving short-term pleasures up for long-term rewards was all worth it to them. So we taught our kids by example, and I would just encourage everybody to do the exact same thing.